All right, everybody. We are doing this practice quiz, so I'm going to walk you through it as you took this home for homework. We are going to start to see how you did, so you have something to look over this evening, so you can prepare for the quiz that is tomorrow. When you are watching this video, this should be a Thursday evening for you, and we will get this thing rolling. So, the direction says circle all of the models below, which are examples of inverse variation, right? Where there's a constant, not a constant rate of change. For the ones that are not, give a reason why you did not include them. So we look at the first row, A, B, C, and D. All these are equations. So you need to think of what are the types of equations for inverse variation, which are x times y equals k, y equals k over x, or x equals the constant over y. And if you look at them, the ones that fit are B, because that fits to this one, and D, because that fits to that one. So C and D are not. And why are they not? Well, the reason A is not is because this is a linear model, right? It's in y equals mx plus b. Now, there's no B, which means the line goes to the origin, okay, because there's no B here. But it's still a linear line. You got the y equals mx part, okay? So that's a straight line. And number 3, or I should say why C is not an example of inverse variation, because this is also a linear model. This is a horizontal line. Remember, that's the equation of a horizontal line. If it was x equals 3, it would be an example of a vertical line. All right, so that's the first part of it. Now the next part is the graphs. Okay, remember, an inverse variation does not touch the x or y axis. It's kind of stuck in the quadrant. So F is definitely one of those. And that is the only one on this line, and here's why. E is not an inverse variation, even though it's a curve, because it is touching this part right here. So this intersects the y axis, and that's no good, okay? G and H are not, because both of these are straight lines or linear lines. Not to mention they also intersect the y-axis. So, and eventually, you know, this G would intersect like the x-axis like way over here to the left, and H eventually is going to touch it like somewhere in here. So they have both x and y intercepts. So in the middle row, F is the only inverse variation. Okay. Now the last part is the tables. Now remember, in the tables, you have to have either x times y equals that constant, or if you divide, right? If you divide everything by x, you should get the y's, or vice versa, right? So if I look at the first table, okay, if I were to multiply 1 times 4, that equals 4. 2 times 8 is 16. This is 36. This is 64, and that's 100. So obviously, that doesn't work, right? So I know this is not inverse. And if I look, I can tell it's not inverse because if I go from, let me erase this part. If I go from 4 to 8 is plus 4. From 8 to 12 is plus 4. So this is not inverse because this has a constant rate of change. Okay? And that's obviously a no-no. You can't have that. So I'm not going to circle I. There's my reasoning. So let's go to J. Now, if I multiply 1 times 12, x times y, that's 12. 2 times 6 is 12. 3 times 4 is 12. 4 times 3 is 12. and 6 times 2 is 12. So now we do get that x times y equals 12. So this would be a circle. Okay. Now, when I start with k, okay, and if I could go through the multiplying part, 1 times 4 equals 4, 2 times 2 equals 4, but 3 times 0 equals 0. All right, this equals -8 and -20. So this does not work. So I'm not going to circle k. So what's my reasoning? Well, if I look at my y's now, I notice from 4 to 2 that goes down -2. And that happens to be the constant rate of change through all these as these go up by 1. So this is not an inverse because, again, it has a constant rate of change. Now, L, I can tell right off the bat is not going to work because all the y values are the same. So if I were to multiply 1, 2, 3, 4, I'm never going to get the same number. All right. So, but however, this has a constant rate of change of 0, which means when all the y values are the same, this is a horizontal line. So I'm not going to circle L because L is not an inverse variation. It's a horizontal line, which is also a linear model. So that is what the quiz will kind of look like for tomorrow. So just make sure you just know that you got to look for, when you're given a table, you need to make sure that those x times y equals the same number, that constant of variation. All right. When you're looking at the graph, you are looking to make sure that the line does not touch either x or y axis. That's extremely important. And then when you go through equations, again, you're looking for equations that are in this particular form. Okay, that's the most important thing. So I hope this little video was helpful for you. And if you have any questions, we'll bring that to the attention Friday before we take the quiz. So happy studying tonight and be ready for that quiz on Friday.